KJA Global Channel. The Political System and Me. Series 6, The Civic Covenant for Future Generations. Episode 62, My Leadership Ethics Code, Power, Restraint, and the Discipline of Service. Power is not the problem. The problem is what power becomes when it meets the human heart. The question is not whether power exists. The question is whether power is restrained by ethics. Where ethics is absent, power becomes ownership. Ownership becomes domination. Domination becomes fear. And fear becomes a political system. That is the chain that has broken nations. If we are serious about system change, we must not only create new institutions. We must create a new leadership discipline. This is where our question begins. The viewer does not encounter this first as theory, but as a condition of life. Apply a leadership ethics code to one decision and identify the limits, disclosures, consultation, records, accountability, and succession safeguards required. That discipline begins with an ethics code. Not as decoration for a website. Not as a speech. Not as a badge. It begins as a leader's promise to practice restraint. A promise to serve rather than rule. A promise to build institutions stronger than personal ego. This episode is my leadership ethics code, power, restraint, and the discipline of service. Transitions are often lost not only because of enemies, but because leaders carry old habits into a new era. A leader's ethics is part of the nation's safety system. Where ethics is weak, the nation becomes vulnerable to repetition. The system reveal is leadership restraint and institutionalization. Power is held as trust, not trophy. Limits are proof of legitimacy. Restraint is the highest strength. In plain language, the hidden mechanism is leadership restraint and institutionalization. Leaders tell the truth even when truth costs them. They choose merit over loyalty. They treat public money as sacred. They build institutions stronger than themselves. And they prepare their own exit from power. This is a living covenant for any person who holds authority in a democratic transition or federal democracy. I will remember that power is not a reward for sacrifice. Power is not proof of greatness. Power is not entitlement. Power is a public trust loaned to me temporarily. I will not treat institutions as personal property. I will treat power as something sacred because it touches human lives. Every misuse of power becomes a wound in someone's daily existence. I will not fear oversight. I will not fear audits. I will not fear criticism. I will not fear lawful constraints. The test of democratic leadership is whether the system survives leadership change. My leadership ethics code begins here. First, I will use power only for public purpose. I will be able to explain how each major decision serves the public rather than myself, my family, my party, my faction, my business interests, or my allies. Second, I will tell the truth, especially when truth is costly. I will not manipulate facts, hide failure, manufacture enemies, or turn uncertainty into propaganda. Third, I will choose merit over loyalty. Appointments will be based on competence, integrity, diversity, lawful qualification, and public need. Friendship, kinship, sacrifice, and personal loyalty will not substitute for merit. Fourth, I will disclose conflicts of interest. I will identify personal, family, financial, organizational, political, and commercial interests that could influence public decisions. Where a conflict exists, I will disclose it, manage it lawfully, and withdraw from the decision when required. Fifth, I will consult before deciding. Consultation will not be a performance. I will listen to affected people, professional advice, dissenting views, minority concerns, and evidence of risk. Sixth, I will give reasons. Major decisions will leave a record of authority, purpose, evidence, alternatives, consultation, risks, limits, and expected review. A decision without reasons is difficult to challenge. A decision without records is easy to abuse. Seventh, I will treat public resources as sacred. Public money, property, appointments, vehicles, information, security, and institutional time do not belong to me. They belong to the public purpose for which they were entrusted. Eighth, I will accept oversight and correction. I will not treat questions as insults. I will accept audits, judicial review, legislative scrutiny, independent investigation, professional standards, and public correction. Ninth, I will protect lawful dissent. Criticism is not betrayal. Opposition is not treason. A leader who silences criticism destroys the information needed to govern well. 10th, I will prepare for succession. I will build institutions capable of functioning without me. I will delegate lawfully. I will respect term limits, handover rules, and democratic transfer. I will leave office without destroying the institution, the opposition, or the public trust. Instead of stopping at the visible outcome, map the leadership ethics code through the accountability chain. Authority, duty, record, oversight, answer, correction, consequence. Each arrow asks a different accountability question. Who authorized the decision? Who had the duty to act? What record should exist? What oversight body can review the conduct? Who must provide an answer? What correction is available? And what proportionate consequence follows if responsibility is established? A broken outcome may begin far upstream. The visible harm can come from an unjust rule, an unfunded institution, a hidden record, a captured oversight body, or a remedy that exists only on paper. The chain prevents us from reducing a system failure to one personality. It identifies the point where law, capacity, evidence, oversight, or enforcement stopped working. When citizens and professionals can locate that break, criticism becomes more accurate and reform becomes more practical. For this episode, the principal mechanism is leadership restraint and institutionalization. The production graphic must make every link readable on a phone screen and must label country-specific or proposed arrangements honestly. Under dictatorship, a leadership ethics code is shaped by concentrated command. Information is restricted. Institutions answer upward. Challenge may carry personal risk. The leader becomes the source of permission, reward, punishment, truth, and national identity. Ethics becomes loyalty to the ruler rather than responsibility to the public. In a fragile democracy, formal rules may exist while patronage, unequal capacity, corruption, politicization, or weak enforcement make protection inconsistent. Codes of conduct may exist without disclosure. Audits may exist without consequence. Appointments may remain personal. Consultation may be symbolic. Succession may depend on personalities rather than institutions. In a functioning federal democracy, authority is constitutionally distributed, common rights remain enforceable, and more than one institution can question, review, or correct harmful power. Leadership is temporary. Authority is limited. Records are preserved. Conflicts are disclosed. Appointments are justified. Public money is audited. Dissent is protected. Correction is possible. Succession is expected. No democratic design is self-executing. Institutions require capacity, integrity, resources, professional standards, public participation, and enforceable consequences. The viewer should compare who decides, how authority was obtained, whether records are public, whether affected people participate, and whether succession, restraint, and service beyond personality are available in practice. Protection becomes durable only when the leadership ethics code is converted into rules, responsibilities, records, and remedies. The minimum guardrails are these. 1. Public purpose and disclosed conflicts of interest. Leaders must explain how decisions serve the public and disclose any personal, family, political, organizational, or financial interest that could distort judgment. 2. Consultation and reasoned decisions. Major decisions should reflect evidence, rights, risk, affected communities, professional advice, and a recorded explanation. 3. Records and transparent use of resources. Appointments, budgets, contracts, assets, emergency powers, travel, benefits, and major directives must leave records capable of independent review. 4. Acceptance of oversight and correction. A democratic leader must accept lawful scrutiny, audit, judicial limits, legislative review, independent investigation, and public correction. 5. Succession, restraint, and service beyond personality. Leadership must create institutions capable of surviving the leader and must protect lawful transfer, handover, continuity, and public trust. These safeguards work as a system. A published rule without an independent reviewer can become theater. Oversight without records cannot see. Participation without safety can expose people. And a remedy without enforcement does not repair the harm. Global relevance. The institutional test for a leadership ethics code applies across political labels. Who decides? What limits power? What information is public? Who participates? And does a real correction or remedy exist? Myanmar relevance. Use ordinary lived experience only where it clarifies the mechanism. Do not turn Myanmar into dramatic background or imply that one national experience fits every society. Separate verified present conditions from interim, proposed, or aspirational designs. Protect civilians and sensitive identities. Represent ethnic nationalities, regions, communities, institutions, and competing political proposals with accuracy, dignity, and agency. Here is the civic practice for this episode. See and ask. If you lead anything, test one decision against the code. Trust or trophy. Restraint or grasp. Service or self-protection. Verify. Examine the code of conduct, authority basis, consultation record, conflict disclosure, reasons, oversight route, resource record, and succession or delegation rules. Act. Apply the leadership code to one decision you control. Record the authority, public purpose, consultation, evidence, conflict, limit, oversight, review date, and handover requirement. Review. Record whether you can name the responsible institution, the evidence, the safeguard or remedy, and one safe next step. Protect victims, witnesses, family members, confidential records, and digital security before taking any outward step. If leaders live this discipline, system change becomes real. The new state will not merely carry a different flag. It will create a different relationship between power and the human person. A relationship built on dignity. A relationship guarded by ethics. a relationship that future generations can trust. Power will always exist. But power restrained by ethics becomes freedom's architecture. Leadership disciplined by service becomes the nation's protection against repetition. The principle to carry forward is this: power is held as trust, not trophy. Limits are proof of legitimacy. Restraint is the highest strength. Ask yourself, what part of ethical leadership under public authority have I treated as normal even though it should be visible, answerable, and correctable? Leadership is stewardship, not ownership. In the next episode, we continue with my national covenant, the non-repetition oath for generations to come. The system shapes our lives. Our participation shapes the system. Subscribe. Learn. Participate. Shape the future. KJA, knowledge justifies authority.